Can everybody? Good afternoon. My name is Colonel Jeff Pounding, and I am the Division Chief for Army Guard Operations. And I want to thank you for coming. Understand that this is probably your lunch hour, and it's good to see some smiling faces in the background here. Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. The past decade of conflict has forged the Army National Guard into an operational force capable of rapid and effective employment at the home and abroad. Retaining these broad capabilities is an absolute baseline requirement. The Army National Guard must be a balanced force that includes both combat and support formations, while maintaining a presence in nearly 3,000 American communities. The Army National Guard must be organized to conduct full-spectrum operations in both federal and state missions. The foundational structure of the Army National Guard needs to be delivered. The capability required for the Operational Guard is 8 division headquarters, 28 brigade combat teams, 8 combat aviation brigades, and 2 special forces groups. As you see here on the slide is a definition from the Director, Army National Guard, Lieutenant General Ingram, that he completed on 22 August. And as you read it, it defines who we are as an operational force as one of 3 components of the total Army. Below you'll also find the Army National Guard, his vision, the Director's vision, our lines of effort, and his end state. We will talk today about the third line of effort, partnering with combatant commanders. In an uncertain world, combatant commanders seek forces that are proficient in executing the full range of decisive action missions. Army National Guard units are manned, trained, and equipped to execute combat operations and are additionally capable of building military partner capacity with our partners and strengthening interoperability with our allies. We are capable, accessible, innovative, and agile. The Army National Guard is employed in the full range of theater security cooperation activities, including the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Combatant Command, and Army Service Component Command exercises, individual small unit exchanges, security force assistance and security assistance, and engagements with the State Partnership Program. The State Partnership Program has 64 partnerships and 2 bilateral agreements with 69 countries. This low-cost, low-footprint engagement program has provided high yield in building partnerships and military capability and capacity for over 20 years. Actually, this year is our 20th anniversary of this splendid program. We enable combatant commanders by identifying and enhancing civilian expertise and skill sets as a key multiplier that the Army National Guard citizen soldier brings to bear. Our soldiers possess an immense reservoir of civilian expertise that makes them far more flexible in solving the complex civil military problems that the combatant commanders and us face on a daily basis. Now take a look at this slide. It talks a lot of who we are. It lists in the bright yellow our contingency and foundational missions. And in the tan, it talks about exercises through the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Combatant Commanders, and Army Service Component Commander exercises, individual small unit exchanges, and security force assistance, security assistant missions that the Army National Guard does. And in the baby blue there is the engagements of the State Partnership Program, which is a joint program, but approximately 80–85% of those engagements are employed with Army Guardsmen. Now, as you look there on top, we can see that contingency operations over the last year, we've had close to 26,000 troops that have been deployed in contingency operations. Almost an identical number have been employed with theater security cooperation. We have an additional number of 23,300 that have been in support of the homeland in domestic operations, support and response. And we have about 4,200, just a very small number, of the state partnership program. Now, how many people are familiar with the state partnership program out there? A number of you. Okay. Okay, so with this slide, it talks of where we have been and where we're going. Conducting theater engagements is not a new activity for the Army National Guard. Over the last 2 decades, and even before that in the 80s and down in Central and South America, we have demonstrated how successful the Army National Guard can be. And in the 90s, we have been able to support the combatant commanders with 327,000 soldiers conducting theater security cooperation. As you can see, we really begin to establish ourselves in this activity in the very early part of the century, a decade, with the state partnership program being established in 1993 after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And then as we finish the decade, we see a growing ramp of activities and engagements that we have conducted. And then what do we see? The start of the war in 2001. And for that decade, this last decade of conflict, we have seen a continued maintenance of theater engagement. And actually, after 2007, we start to see a trend upwards to where we're at today. Looking over the last 20 years, we have identified that we have been able to provide, on an average, per year, 1,034 man-years to the combatant commanders. So that equates to a little over 1,000 additional soldiers per day for the combatant commands to perform theater engagement. So where do we go from here? The Army National Guard is well positioned to support the combatant commanders and the Army Service Component commanders with the regionally aligned forces concept by utilizing our 8 division headquarters and 28 brigade combat teams, along with multiple other types of multifunctional brigades that we have within our force. The total Army force policy enacted today, the Secretary of the Army talked about this morning, will provide the Army National Guard with ready and resource units to provide decisive action and mission support across all environments and stages of conflict. Again, to highlight, we are a cost-effective force in peacetime. We have the agility to be employed during all times of need, and we are flexible to be mobilized when the need diminishes. The Army National Guard and Reserve Forces constitutes 9% of the DoD budget and 44% of the personnel. Enduring relationships over the last 2 decades, as I've talked, clearly demonstrate the strategic capacity and capability of our ability to grow partner military capacity, to grow partnerships, and to strengthen our alliances across the globe. Capability and proven results record, as I had said, 64 state partnerships across 67 nations and 2 bilateral agreements. And with that, I'd like to take questions if there's any comments.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any questions, let me know and I'll bring the microphone over.
Thank you very much. Have a great lunch.